Doom, the End Stone. $6.35. Holy shit, that pack, man. Alright, we are back in the game. $250. I don't know if I mentioned it, but for these 17 pre-release kits, I paid $460. $67. $467. So let's see how close we can get to that one. Because if I would have bought Play Booster boxes to open 100 Play Booster packs, I only would have spent $400, I think, $406. So it's basically $60 more expensive to open the pre-release kits than open Play Booster packs. Which means these promo cards need to be worth $60. But yeah, I mentioned something similar in the beginning of the video, I think. We got another Shockland here, Godless Shrine. Very cool as well. Now we're getting it. Now we're getting there. $6 and a triple rare pack here on top of it. Why not? Very cool. Alright. What else we got? Dawnsire Sunstar Dreadnought again. The Eternity Elevator. We're actually still very far off of $460. That's quite crazy, actually. We got a Lotus Field here. The Stellar View showcase. Already pulled that one once. Another Menon. The Sirima. Contested War Zone and Might Form Harmonizer. 91 cents. Alright. You know, before, once when I shot my thumbnails there in the little break we had, I was just like watching at all these packs and remembering my younger self. Sometimes I really have to step back and just appreciate the amount of magic cards that I can open here, because like back in the days I would be so happy if I could get just one Play Booster pack, if I could just buy one. I would savor it for like a whole day. I would just not open it, just to so it lasts longer for me, and then by the end of the day I'll open it and go through every card separately, one by one. Which one did I start opening here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And now I'm just ripping through all of these packs. So sometimes I really have to say, enjoy it. 17 cents. 17 cents. Starwinder again. Nothing else, doesn't even, oh, it did scan.
I switched from due dates to due dates, and it made me go from weeks behind to weeks ahead of my deadline. You see, I used...
Ooh, look at this. Another Menon. Menon the right hand, but in this triumphant version this time. It looks a little bit cooler. I doubt that it's worth much more. $1.71, 61, not bad. More than $1. Got Mutinous Massacre here again. Adagia's Windswept Bastion. That's the first time I pulled this one. A land planet. You can station these planet lands. Very cool. Let's see. $3.45. Not even at $300 yet. Oh, our first special guest card, and it's a cheap one of that. Warping Whale. We already pulled this one, but that's the first special guest card. That's crazy. I wish there would be more common here. But we got a triple rare pack here because the special guest card It's always gonna be in the common slot. So you will get at least 2 rares whenever you get a special guest card. Lumen class frigate. Foil planes there. Asteli Reclaimer. Halia. Dollar. Rust Harvester and nothing else. Alright. 20 packs left. We are not even at $300. Blinkmoth Nexus. Really cool colors on this artwork. I love this. Is it worth something? It is. $1. Alright. Quantum Riddler. $9.24 for that one. Oops. Another Frenzied Baloff and a Triumphant Seer Von Damme Sunstar Exemplar in foil. Also cool artwork. I like the style on this one with the sun in the background. Is it worth something? Is this guy gonna pick it up even? Does this guy know that this card exists? Maybe the foiling throws it off. No? Why? Do I have to put it manually? Seer. Von Damme. Seer Von Damme. Sunstar Exemplar. Triumphant. Foil. At $1.20 it was. But it brought us above $300. So that was worth it. I hope scanner doesn't scan it now. Lumen class frigate. 6 cents. And a foil basic land here. Alright. Eternity elevator again. Come on, biotech specialists, that's gonna save us. Come on, I need something big, another ancient tomb would be nice. It's already crazy that we pulled a 1 ancient tomb here. But I wouldn't mind another one either. Another Frenzy Baloff. We got Mystifying Maze here in the Stellar View. Very cool Death Star-like artwork there. 17 cents. Another Mythic here. Devastating Onslaught. Alright, once we are through this pile, that's basically 3 play booster boxes. Do you say boxes? 3 play booster boxes. Which means $375 that we would have paid if we would have bought play booster boxes for these. And now we are $70 behind. And the last pile here, the last 10 packs. Let's go. We got Famished Worldsire for $2.88. Sunset Saboteur. 5 cents. Another Shockland Goddess Shrine. Same one. I wonder how many different ones there are. I guess at least 5, right? But we always pull only the same ones all the time. 315 bucks. We got Elegy Acolyte. And another Sir Von Dane here. Pain for All. Breeding Pool, there we go. That's a different, well, we did pull some breeding pools, but that's, I think, the first time that I actually pulled a viewport version of Breeding Pool, which looks really cool. I like this one. insects looking out of their window. $9.24. A few packs left. Shockland prices are gonna drop so hard. Shambling Vent. Very cool artwork on this one as well. Look at this face in the dark hole there, black hole there. Looks cool. Or something. 10 cents. Terror Symbiosis. And 3 packs left as far as I can see. Synthesizer Lab Ship. 21 cents. Come on. Can we push it a little bit here with the last 2 packs? Arch Enemy's Charm. That's not gonna push it. And the last pack. Is it gonna be Nothing Burger like always, or are we gonna push the value here, the average one? Warmaker Gunship. No, it's a Nothing Burger like always. All right, that was 100 play booster packs for Edge of Eternities, and we have a total of $328. That's already 32 coins for you guys. Let's do 33 because we are close to 330. That means an average pack of Edge of Eternities is worth around $3.28, which is pretty good. Is it pretty good? I think the usual sets are like $2.70 or something like that, so that's pretty nice. And you have all the stats here. I'll be putting all the statistics here. So how many rares, mythics we pulled, etc, etc. If you're interested. Let's open the last 2 packs here that I had from this pre-release kit, just to see if we get something here. We probably get over 300. Yep, there we go. 33 coins for you guys. And the last pack. Another Godless Shrine, damn. Alright, I'll update the statistics with these 2 packs on top of it. $2.31. Alright, that's basically it. I'm gonna skip the summary video here at the end. Just because I have all the statistics here. And grab my alcohol-free beer, by the way. All these booster packs here. And yeah, I'm probably gonna be back tomorrow for you guys. Maybe I'll do the video with the, where are they even? There, with the promo packs. I'm gonna probably open the rest of these previous kits, so we have 25 promo packs there for that video. And then tomorrow is gonna be the first giveaway for Edge of Eternities. Are you guys hyped? These collectibles.
So we had a fun one today. Today we're going to find out if you want to open some space-themed cards, are you better off getting Edge of Eternities Collector Booster Box or the equivalent of a Collector Booster Box? I'm not even sure what they call these, the Ultimate Premium Pack for Collectors. So I guess it's actually Collector Boosters, technically, of Star Wars Unlimited Legends of the Force, which I believe is the newest set. So we're gonna do a little battle and see which ones of these gives us more value. Do we get more value out of Edge of Eternities, out of Star Wars? Let's crack them open and find out. Today's show is brought to you by Foil Armor. Is your fancy new Secret Lair card shaped like a Pringle? Do you have problems with your foils curling? Well, Foil Armor is the ultimate solution for flattening your foils. It's a two-way humidity pack that you simply put inside an airtight container with your cards, and Foil Armor will absorb and release moisture, making your cards completely flat. Put a pack in your storage box to keep your cards flat forever. Head over to foilarmor.com today and use the code MTGGoldfish to get 15% off. All right, so let's get into this. I will say, I did a bit of research. I did a bit of research on the Star Wars cards, but I do not know Star Wars anywhere near as well as I know Magic. So, I will look up all the prices and price everything as we go, but I might not know all the prices as we go along. But I will do my best. I did some research. I know Darth Vader's really good. There's an Anakin that's really good. I know there's serialized cards in here, which is also pretty sweet. These are very similar to collector boosters, aren't they? I believe it's the same. Is it the same number of packs? I believe it's the same number of packs. I will say, I think I like the feel of the boosters. I like how maybe I'm just more familiar with Magic, but these feel a little more like Riddle. I don't know. It's weird. They feel different to me. These are like looser, and I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna go back and forth, pack by pack, and keep our running total of who wins. So let's start with what we know. Let's start with what we know. Edge of Eternities pack 1. I'm curious, before we get into this, what do you think is going to give us more value? I know Star Wars cards have real value. I know if you get a serialized card, they are hundreds of dollars. I don't know what the odds are. Probably not super high, but all right. Edge of Eternities pack 1. Let's see how we do. So commons and uncommons, nothing really of value here. Island and Pinnacle Emissary, Glistening Mastiff, Hardlight Container, Raging Ravine in the landslide. So not a big hit. And okay, well, Breeding Pool Showcase off to a good start. This is where I feel like Magic might have the advantage. I feel like when it comes to high-end cards, I imagine that Star Wars, with the serialized cards, wow, these packs are they're like papery. It's so weird. After opening so many Magic packs, let's see what these Star Wars cards. Okay. Mother Telzin. I don't even know who that character is. So this is a leader. So my understanding of this game is you have a leader in a base. Is this a base? No, not necessarily. Hunting Nexus. Okay. I think that's a common. Jedi Sentinel. The art is cool, I guess. I feel like, I don't know. I always struggle because I'm like, how much of it is just familiarity with Magic versus other games? Magic to me just looks normal. So I'm used to the border. I'm used to the style. The Star Wars cards, they don't look bad. We got to see some showcase treatments. These look, I don't know, kind of Lorcani maybe. Eighth Brother. Sinhati. Ooh, Darth Revenant's lightsabers. Okay, I mean, these are all foil. That does look pretty cool. It's an upgrade. Attached to a non-vehicle unit. Huh. I'm just barely learning how to play this game. Ooh, okay. Grand Inquisitor. You're right to be afraid. This looks like a showcase treatment. I don't know how expensive it is. Medical Frigate. Protect the Pod. Karis. It's a unit. And Doku. It's a Jedi. Justianu. And Refugee of the Path foil. And Karis. Okay. Actually, I'm not sure which of these actually have value. One thing I will say that I do not like about these cards is, unlike Magic, you can't easily tell the rarity. So I'm never sure when I open Star Wars. I'm like, is that a rare? Is that a mythic? Is that a common? It's not. I wish it was readily apparent what the rarity is. Or maybe if you're a Star Wars fan, maybe you know. Oh my God, there's something good in the back of this pack. I got a sneak peek. Oh man, I think Magic is gonna crush the Star Wars game. Oh man. All right. Yeah. Sure. Moonlight Meditation, long range sensor, weapons manufacturer, lumbering falls. Oh my God. Okay. Well, that is an incredibly expensive Magic card. Exalted Sunborn. Yeah, good luck, Star Wars. Good luck. That is Showcase Treatment Exalted Sunborn. These are really rare. Exalted Sunborn's already incredibly expensive. And this is, I think, the most expensive version of Exalted. Look at how it shimmers. It's the most expensive version of Exalted Sunborn you can get. Star Wars is going to have to pick it up. Also, I got to say, I'm kind of, well, let's see. Let's open some more Star Wars. So far, I'm disappointed in the Showcase Treat. We got nothing. Where's something in our Star Wars packs that look like this? Our first pack, yeah, we got more foils, I guess. This is, I think, some sort of showcase treatment, but compared to that, look at our two showcase cards so far. Just as far as what looks cooler, and I know I'm biased because I do Magic all the time, but this looks so cool. All right, let's see. This is pack 2. Maybe we just haven't got to the super cool. Give us a Darth Vader or an Anakin. Mother Tanslin.
Hey traders, welcome back to the TradingView channel. In this video, we're going to be introducing you to our all-new TradingView Smart AI Indicator, developed in collaboration with OpenAI. Now, this system offers AI-powered insights that may help users better understand market conditions and develop their own strategies.
How about a foil Guardian of the Wheels? Jedi Temple Guards, Long Beam Crusher. That's a pretty, I like how clean this card looks. I do like just the cleanness of the white border. Darth Sidious. Marin in foil. Orang Sing. Scythe. Oh, okay, Father. That's a sweet showcase treatment card. I don't know if it's valuable, but that's a cool looking treatment. That's a cool looking. I still don't know. I just don't know if it beats that. Just like, oh, the fractured foil looks so cool, but that is a sweet treatment. Itinerant Warriors, Knights Saber, Sand Trooper Cavalry, Rampage. Is that a... Okay, I think that's a showcase of some kind. Rampage. Ooh, okay, we got a base. Tomb of Elram. And... Oh, okay. The Will of the Force. Foil showcase. I feel like that might be worth something. Return a non-leader unit to its owner's hand. You may use the Force. If you do, that player discards a card at random from their hand. Seems like, ooh, Jedi Vector. That actually, wow, look at, okay, the foiling looks pretty cool on that. Look at how it catches the lasers or whatever, the tractor beams, whatever those are. Okay, I will say that's actually a sick looking card. That is probably the coolest looking. I like how the foiling looks. That's probably the coolest looking Star Wars card we've gotten so far. All right, back to Magic. I don't know how we're gonna top Exalted Sunborn Fractured Foil. That is a hit. I feel like Magic might have won just with that one card. Well, we'll see. We'll see when we add it all up. Like I said, I did a bit of research on like what the big hits are we're looking for, but I don't know all the $5 cards in the Star Wars set. Ooh, all right. The worst of the planet lands, but still, it's a planet. It's a planet. Mox Ite Refinery, Halia, Guided by Light, Howard Depot, Despot, Depot, Light Cell Inquisitor, and oh, that's an art card. All right. Well, that was not much of a Magic pack. All right, it's giving Star Wars a chance to catch back up. It is weird. These packs just feel so weird to me. They're like, wait, are they recyclable? Can I recycle these? Oh, if I can recycle these, that's bonus points for... I still don't know if I can. That's still kind of foily. They feel more papery than Magic, though. That would be bonus points. I wish Magic wrappers were recyclable. Avar Chris is a leader, which I don't think is on the super valuable list. Ooh, okay. Jedi Knight. Lolcat. Jedi Guardian. Following the Path. One of the things that's kind of cool about these cards that Magic doesn't do much. They do more of now, but like the art moves around. On Magic, it's pretty consistent that text box on the bottom, art on the top. But on these Star Wars cards, as you can see here, like we got art on the bottom, we got art on the top. It kind of moves around based on the card. Ooh, that's a cool card. Flight of the Inquisitor. Plo Koon, the Sun.
Looking for a new game? Try G2A.com. Need new Windows or Office? Still G2A. Want to...
Before we jump into today's video, I want to give a quick shout out to our channel sponsor, Many Realms. If you're looking for Magic the Gathering and Magic the Gathering related supplies, be sure to check out ManyRealms.com. I'll post a link to their website in the video description, so be sure to go check them out. What is up, everyone? How's everyone doing out there today? Welcome back to Wildcat MTG. Today we are back with another Edge of Eternities collector box battle. How this thing is going to work is we have 4 participants. We're going to open this thing up. Each one of them is going to get 3 packs. We're going to open those packs in rounds of 3, adding up the mana values for all the rares and all the mythics. And at the end of this thing, the person with the highest total mana value and the person with the lowest total mana value amongst rares and mythics are each going to get 1 additional Edge of Eternities collector pack to go along with their spoils. In the event of a tie, we'll take the highest mana value mythic as the first tiebreaker, the highest mana value rare as the second tiebreaker, and if we need a third tiebreaker, we will go down the line with the highest mana value rare until we have a tie no more. Edge of Eternities. Kind of a banger, huh? A little bit of a surprise banger. Like, the set's been really good. I've actually now had a chance to play it limited multiple times. I've enjoyed the limited experience. It's I think it's a kind of a skill-intensive limited experience. Like, there's a lot of decisions and sequencing to do, which is cool. I've enjoyed it. And the set itself, I mean, we knew it had Shocklands, but a lot of other really good stuff too, and it feels like it is going to have some impact on Constructed as well. All right, here we go. 3 for Future, 3 for Angie, 3 for Red Leader, and last but not least, 3 for Justin B. Good luck, everyone. Let's have some fun. Hopefully pull some juicy stuff along the way. Future, start us off. Okay, we will largely skip past the commons and uncommons. Those are pretty much a known at this point. Get right to the good stuff. Okay, so start off with our borderless foil basic. Starting off with a terminal velocity that is a 6 mana value. These tend to be these battles. We've done one other so far. It was really low mana value because one of your slots is an all land slot, which just means no mana value. So we'll see where this takes us. We start off with a 6. Next up we have Scouring Swarm, which is a 3 from that commander slot. Into the Extinguisher Battleship. This is not a low mana value pack. That's an 8 right there in the extended art. Followed by a Cathedral of War. Pretty cool. And that is in that... wow, that's really nice looking. Oh, very cool. Cathedral of War. Okay. And we start pack 1, Mythic 1. That is a borderless foil Susur Sukundi Void Altar, which is the Mythic Black Planet land. Pretty nice hit there. Borderless foil. And, well... so interesting. It was a high mana value pack, but last 2 cards in that pack were lands. So we have ourselves an 8 plus 6, 14, 15, 16, 17. That's still pretty high mana value from what we've seen. 8, 6, 14, 15, 16, 17 it is. And we will throw our Mythic land on top. That Cathedral War looks really cool. I like the art on that. Alright. Angie, it is your turn. Oh my gosh, these packs continue to give me issues. There we go. Last box was kind of a banger, so a lot to live up to from that last box. Last box brought us some really good goodies. Okay. Borderless planes, foil planes, non-galaxy foil. The Eternity Elevator, nice. Pack foil Eternity Elevator, that is a 5. Into a land. Yep, a lot of lands at the commander slot as well. So that's also bringing these mana values down. That is a 0. Followed by a Weapons Manufacturing, pretty cool, that is a 2. Followed by a Swarm Yard, non-foil Stellar Sights Swarm Yard. And then Sacred Foundry in the back, that is a borderless foil. Borderless foil Sacred Foundry. As good as last box was, and there's not a lot to complain about, it did only have 1 of the shock lands in it, so... And here we are, we have 3 lands in this box, which means we have 5, 6, 7 mana value in total. But a borderless foil Sacred Foundry. Not the worst place to be there. Not the worst. Alright, Red Leader, it is to you. Here we go. Okay, first up is our foil swamp. No galaxy foils in that slot so far. Usually about 3 or 4 per box. Start off with an Entropic Battle Cruiser, that is a 4 pack foil. Followed by a Moxite Refinery in the commander slot, that is a 2. Sunset Saboteur as a 2. In the extended art. Ooh, is a Mythic Galaxy foil? Oh! Wow. Okay. That is not just a Mythic Galaxy foil Stellar Sight. That is a Mythic foil Stellar Sight Galaxy Ancient Tomb. That is a sheesh. Holy moly. Not gonna lie, I'm a little bit jealous right now. That is amazing. Alright, we'll sleeve that up here in a second. Oh my gosh. Get out of town. Red Leader. Red Leader. That is a Fracture Foil Ice Till Explorer. Wow. It is in the Japanese. If we had a small gripe there, it's in the Japanese language instead of the English. But honestly, I don't think we have any complaints about this pack. This video's over. Turning it off. No one sees any of this. Not to be made available for the public. Oh my goodness with this pack. This is going to be a longer video because I'm just going to babble on because I am stunned. That is so good. Okay. I suppose we have a battle to carry on with. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12. Who cares? Win or lose, you've won. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's a 12. Oh my goodness. I don't like when you have a decision of fracture foil, or I mean, I don't think there's a decision for me, but a galaxy foil, ancient tomb, or a fracture foil, and you have to put one of those under the other. It actually kind of feels bad. All right, Justin. Wow. This freaking box. Goodness gracious. I thought the last box was really good. Okay, Galaxy Foil Planes, neat. Sacred Foundry, we don't dislike Shocklands. We like those. Pack Foil Sacred Foundry, followed by a Long Range Sensor. Loading Zone, I rather like this card. Extended Art Loading Zone, it's a 4. Followed by a Blast Zone as the Stellar Sights foil, not Galaxy foil, but a foil nonetheless. Pretty cool. And then we conclude with a Lumen class frigate. Yes, frigate way. Yeah, all right. I actually do like the frigate. I just want to say that word one more time. That's a 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that will do it there. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 it is. God, that's so insane. That's so insane. I can't believe I have to stare at that all battle and just not be jealous. All right, well, after the first round, Future with a 17 in the high. That was a very high pack, and it stayed that way. Angie in the low with a 7. Red Leader with a 12. Justin with a 9. Here we go. Round 2. And this box is already absolutely bonkers. Fracture Foil and a Galaxy Foil Ancient Tomb in the same pack is insanity. All right, Future, you have the high right now. All right, we have a Plains, not Galaxy Foil. Terra Symbiosis, pretty cool card as well. That is a 3. Pack Foil Terra Symbiosis. Followed by, hey, Zarel, Genesis Shepherd as a Jun Commander. So we have a Mythic out of that Commander slot. Pretty cool, that's a 5. Followed by a Synthesizer Lab Ship, that is a 1. Into, how about you get a second Cathedral foil, this time in the non-foil. And then conclude with a 0-point Ballad, which is also a 1. Well, kind of reverses the low trend at the end, although the Zarel does help the mana value. Okay, what do we got going on here? We have ourselves a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 it is. Future, I will say that actually still is a pretty healthy lead at this moment. It's not game over, but it is still healthy. Okay, Angie, you have the low with the 7. Justin's kind of hot on your trail. He had a 9. You are the proud owner of a Galaxy Foil Swamp. Pack Foil Rare is Manamanan. I know that's not how you say that, but you know, it feels like it should just read that way. That's a 5 for mana value. Uthros Research Craft as the commander, that is a 3. Halia Guided by Light, that is also a 3. This is not a low mana value pack, by the way. Into Celestial Colonnade. This is a non-foil, but it is in the poster Stellar Sights art. That's cool. And then we conclude. Ooh, we've got a Mythic back here. Wow, there we go. So we got a Fracture Foil and a regular Japanese foil showcase in the same box. This is Devastating Onslaught. That is a Japanese foil showcase in the English language, which from a value standpoint is certainly the preferred at this point in time. Not a bad hit there. Not bad at all. All right, what do we got going on for mana value? 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus 5. That is a 12. 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, and 12 it is. Brings you to a 19, and also a really nice hit to go along with your already borderless foil Sacred Foundry. This box keeps bringing it. Red leader, you have a 12 right now, chasing the low by 15, or excuse me, the high by 15 or the low by 7. But regardless, everyone is looking around at you and is completely jealous of you at this point, at this moment in time. Okay. Here we go. There's a Galaxy Foil Island. That is a Mythic. That is Quantum Riddler, which Quantum Riddler is catching some steam as well. That is a Mythic Pack Foil Quantum Riddler. That is a 5 mana value and a pretty good card as well. Your run continues into a Vernal Fen, which is 0, followed by an Evendo in the Borderless. Oh my goodness. Alright. That is the knockoff Gaia's Cradle, which is actually still a really good card because Gaia's Cradle is an insane card. So Evendo, still a really good card. 0 mana value, but not upset. Celestial Colonnade, and then conclude with an Esteli Reclaimer, which is a 5, and you have an art card. Alright, so let me sleeve up these Mythics. Two also very good Mythics. That's what they are. Seemingly 3 no mana value cards. 5 plus 5, that is just a 10. That's pretty easy math. Hard for even me to screw up. Alright. Brings you to a 22. Kind of sandwiching you in the middle as far as high and low is concerned. But again, I reiterate to you, you're doing just fine. Win or lose, you kind of won. Alright, Justin. Justin, you were right behind Angie for the low coming into this round. Angie had a 12 spot, so you are chasing 10 for the low right now. Otherwise, you are way behind Future for the high. Here we go. Little mountain action. Is that your second mountain? Weird. Maybe not. Mutinous Massacre. That is a 7 mana value. That is a pack foil rare Mutinous Massacre. 7. Followed by an Evendo Brush Razor. That is a 3. Followed by Beyond the Quiet. This is no longer low mana value territory. That is a 5. That's actually a really cool art though. Borderless Beyond the Quiet. Followed by a Terrain Generator. That is a Stellar Sights foil rare. It does not appear to be Galaxy. And then conclude back here with a Consult the Star Charts, which is actually a pretty good card. Extended art foil. Consult the Star Charts. Well, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 16, 17. Let me run that back here. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 17 it is. Puts you at a 26. Actually puts you just one below the high. So you are right there with Future now after that pack. That's how that works. Okay, well, heading into the final round here. Has been another banger box. Edge of Eternities. Future in the high with a 27. Ever so slight lead. Angie in the low with a 19. Red leader kind of right behind, right above Angie, if you will, with a 22. And Justin with a 26. Here we go. Good luck, everyone.
I know now why you cry, but it's something I can never do.
Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of Digital Fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn, and today we're back at it with another standard deck tech straight out of Edge of Eternities standard. And this one's kind of spicy. I want to go right out and say it, that I was inspired by a brew that I saw Mythic Mike do And this was something that I was sort of kind of thinking in the back of my mind during early access about anyway, so it wasn't a super surprise when I saw a brew like this that Mythic Mike put together, but I saw just how crazy it could be and some of the card selections that I haven't quite thought through enough at the time, and it really inspired me to try to take it to the next level and do my own version. And I do think this version might be better than Mythic Mike's brew. That being said, that dude's a genius and he comes up with the greatest stuff, so if you haven't followed him yet, make sure to check out Mythic Mike. All of his stuff is awesome. He specializes in coming up with budget brews that are still just super competitive and super good, but every deck he puts out is a banger. So definitely check out Mythic Mike, and thank you to Mythic Mike for inspiring me to make this brew. But like I said, I do think we have some upgrades. So this one is called Terminator. We're using Emissary Escort. We're making it super big, super quick with creatures that have affinity for artifacts so that we have a huge casting cost down, super quick, way earlier than we should. That buffs the Emissary Escort into high hell. We're using Pinnacle Emissary, and the couple of upgrades that I've added, we're using Leyline Axe, we're using Synthesizer Lab Ship. We've got some really spicy things in here that I think just take the deck to the next level, and I'm pretty excited about it. Before we dive in and break down the deck, please like the video. Helps me get it out to so many more people. It helps the channel grow, and I honestly appreciate it so much. I know some of you guys have been liking every single video. I see you doing it, and I appreciate it, so thank you, thank you. Also, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an upload. I have some spoiler videos on the way. I also have a deck tech dropping every single day. And in fact, the next one that's dropping, I already finished recording, and it's even crazier than this one. It's called Event Horizon. You'll see when we get there, it's nuts. But be sure to catch me live Monday through Friday over on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/QuarantineCapricorn. Because I'm alive and I'm breathing. I'm there and I'm streaming. Now let's break down this deck. So I think I finally cracked it. This deck is crazy now. I originally saw a brew that Mythic Mike did on his channel, and I thought it was really ingenious, using Emissary Escort, a 2-mana 0/4 that gets +X/+0, where X is the greatest mana value among other artifacts you control, along with some of the affinity for artifacts creatures like Memory Guardian, which can come down for just 1 blue mana if you have 4 artifacts already on the battlefield, but it's still going to be a 5-drop no matter what, and it's going to be a 3/4 flyer, coming out super quick, putting a whole lot of pressure on the board, but also potentially turning your Emissary Escort into a 5/4. Also having Valkyrie Aerial Unit as a 7-drop that potentially comes out for only 2 mana, but again, still counts as a 7-drop, so it's going to turn your Emissary Escort into a 7/4, while also being a 5/4 flyer itself that happens to surveil 2 when it enters. So you can get all the value in the world by lining up an Emissary Escort with a ton of artifacts, and then getting one of these affinity for artifacts creatures down just puts a ton of pressure on the board immediately. You're also going to help yourself to go wide with artifacts by playing Pinnacle Emissary. It's kind of cool too, because you can warp it in for just 1 mana, but it's still a 3-drop. So for 1 mana, you could turn your Emissary Escort into a 3/4, and then also get a bunch of 1/1 flying tokens for however many artifacts you play for the rest of that turn. And then eventually, you know, you hard cast the Pinnacle Emissary, you keep it in play forever, and start to get even more 1/1 flyers off of the artifacts that you're playing. But all of that is taken to the next level by a few key cards that it just felt like something was missing, and I pushed myself and pushed myself and pushed myself, and I think I pretty much figured it out. So we're running 4 copies of Leyline Axe. Not only can this start on the battlefield and give one of our huge powered creatures double strike and trample a little bit later.
Every time I hit a bottleneck, I build a new AI employee to crush it. I used to say that I had 1 AI employee.
These are the 10 biggest bombs in Edge of Eternities. If you see one of these cards in draft or sealed, you should really try to fit it into your deck, because these all-stars will help you win more games. First is Possibility Technician. For 2 and a red, you get a 3/3 that says, whenever this creature or another Kavu you control enters, exile the top card of your library. For as long as that card remains exiled, you may play it if you control a Kavu, and it also has 1 and a red for its warp cost. It is also conveniently a Kavu itself, and there are plenty of other Kavu in red in this set.
So Possibility Technician is just a bunch of card advantage attached to a relatively good body already. A 3-mana 3/3 is something you're already going to be happy playing a lot of the time, and you get an extra card out of it when it comes into play, as long as it sticks around for long enough for you to play that card out of exile. And you can even warp it in the early turns to get an extra card into exile. Maybe you can play it that turn, or maybe you just have to wait until you have this card back into play to play that first card you got into exile from the warp cost. The fact that it also works with your other Kavu means that even if they kill the Possibility Technician, as long as you have a couple other Kavus in your deck, you're still going to have access to those cards, which means they can't really deny you the card advantage in an extended game. This card is absolutely fantastic, really hard to interact with profitably from your opponent's perspective, and is going to take over the game with its card advantage while also just affecting the board state in a meaningful way. Next is Lumen Class Frigate. This is a spacecraft. For 1 and a white, you get a card that comes into play with no real abilities, but the station lets you tap another creature you control to put charge counters equal to that creature's power onto the spacecraft, and then as you station it up, it gets extra abilities. The first one is the most relevant. For 2+, other creatures you control get +1/+1, which means that this is going to be a really hard to interact with anthem for your entire team, buffing all of your other creatures. And it also conveniently makes those other creatures bigger so that when they station, they more quickly get to the 12+ mode, where you all of a sudden have a 3/5 flyer with lifelink, which for 2 mana is a great deal, even though it did require an investment of a lot of your creatures. So basically, it makes all of your creatures huge for just 2 mana. It's really easy to get that 2+ going, and then while your creatures are huge, if they aren't able to attack for some reason, they can slowly work towards making this into a big 3/5 flyer with lifelink, though keep in mind that that will make it a little bit easier to interact with, because your opponent's kill spells might then be able to kill it when otherwise they wouldn't be able to. So keep that in mind, but for 2 mana, this card is an absolute bargain. You're going to love playing this card in your white decks, and definitely a card that you should prioritize. Next is Ouroboros. For 2 green, you get a 1/3 plant worm that says at the beginning of combat on your turn, put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is this creature's power. Notably, that does include itself. So you play this on turn 4, it comes into play as a 1/3, or you could even play it later in the game, but at the beginning of your combat, you're going to put a counter onto each creature you control and your Ouroboros, so all of a sudden it's going to be a 2/4, and then the next turn you're going to put 2 counters onto it, and then the next turn, if you even get to that next turn, you're going to put 4 counters on your creatures. So basically, your opponent is going to have to kill this card immediately, and as long as you play it when they're tapped out, you're going to at least have netted a +1/+1 counter on all of your creatures, which is a really good deal for a card that only costs 4 mana. This one is absolutely fantastic and worth prioritizing. Next is Elegy Acolyte, another 4 mana card. For 2 black, you get a 4/4 lifelinker, already a solid body. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you draw a card and lose 1 life. So a lot of the time, if you maybe have a creature with evasion, or your opponent has all their creatures tapped, you can chip in for a little bit of damage and immediately get some card advantage out of this card, which is fantastic. It also has Void at the beginning of your end step. If a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn, or a spell was warped this turn, create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. So not only is it a 4 mana 4/4 lifelinker, which is already pretty solid, it also gets you card advantage when creatures hit them, and it can make an army of 2/2s if you're able to trigger Void consistently. So if you kill your opponent's blocker, hit them for damage, draw a card, then the Void will trigger at the end step because you killed your opponent's blocker. You get an army of 2/2s, you get a 2/2 robot. You can see how this card can quickly snowball out of control, and it's even pretty good when you're behind because the lifelinking body really does help you stabilize if your opponent doesn't immediately kill it. So Elegy Acolyte, absolutely fantastic. Next is Quantum Riddler. So for 3 blue, you get a 4/6 flyer, which is a Sphinx. When it enters, you draw a card, so immediately you're going to get your card back, even if your opponent does kill it. It also says as long as you have 1 or fewer cards in hand, if you would draw 1 or more cards, you draw that many cards +1 instead. So if you play this at the top end of your curve, maybe you have nothing left in your hand, you play this, you draw a card, and if you have 1 or fewer cards in your hand, if you would draw the card, you draw 2 cards instead. So that's even better, and it has warp. So if you top deck this in the late game when you have nothing in hand, then it's great. You just play it as a 5 mana 4/6. But in the early turns, if you just want to hit your land drops and stuff, you can still warp it, get it into play, draw that extra card, and it'll go away, but you can then replay it for the full cost later. So you can get some extra card advantage out of it then as well. Just a fantastic card. It's pretty much impossible for your opponent to kill this thing without you ending up ahead, because you draw the card, and sometimes you'll even draw multiple cards out of it. So just a really, really solid card. Next is Nova Hellkite, another giant warp creature. So for 5 mana, 3 red, you get a 4/5 flyer with haste. When it enters, it deals 1 damage to target creature an opponent controls, and it has warp for 2 into red. And notably, because this card has haste, when you do warp it in, you're going to be able to hit your opponent with it. So you're going to be able to deal 4 damage to your opponent for just 3 mana. Oftentimes you'll be able to ping down one of their creatures in that scenario as well by dealing 1 damage to it. And then you get to play it again on turn 5, hit your opponent for 4 again immediately, ping another creature. It's just a really, really strong card and does so much damage. It's fantastic in your aggressive decks, and it's just good in any red deck. Next is 0 Point Ballad. For X and black, you get a sorcery that says destroy all creatures with toughness X or less. You lose X life. If X is 6 or more, return a creature card put into a graveyard this way to the battlefield under your control. Now, this card does require a little bit of work to be good because you want to make sure that you have kept your life total high in the games where you're playing this card. You want to maybe have some lifelink creatures in your deck. You maybe want to have the ability to chump block with some like small token bodies or things like that. But if you can get to a point in the game where you're casting this for X equals 6, you know it's coming and your opponent doesn't. So you're going to be able to set that up, kill all the creatures in play, and then get back the best one, even your graveyard or your opponent's graveyard, into play under your control, which is really, really strong. You can also set this up in other ways where if you have like one big creature in play and your opponent has a bunch of small creatures, like say you have a 4/4 and they have a bunch of 3/3s or smaller, you can kill all of your opponent's creatures with it while keeping yours alive, or make trades so that you'll be able to use your 0 Point Ballad to maximum effect. And so because of that, 0 Point Ballad is a really, really flexible tool. And even though it is a little bit hard to deploy sometimes when you're low on life, it really makes up for that by being so good in the games where you're able to have a reasonable life total and just absolutely annihilate your opponent with it.
For just 16,500 dirham, you get a trade license, 4 visas, free digital bank account, and more. Get your business license approved and become a UAE resident. We are not just matching prices, we are beating expectations. No delay, no overcharges, just results. Speak with our expert team today.
Next is Cosmogrand Zenith. So for 3 mana, you get a 2/4 that says whenever you cast your second spell each turn, choose 1. Create 2 1/1 white.
This video is sponsored by Card Kingdom. If you want Magic singles or sealed product, use my link in the description. Hi everyone, I'm Nitsa Hone, and it's Saturday. That means it's time for Nitsa Notes, my weekly vlog series about limited Magic. We are at the end of the first partial week anyway of Edge of Eternities Limited, and I now have enough drafts under my belt to give you some broad advice about the format. You know, we don't have enough data right now to really dive in on like super individual cards and whether I was wrong or right about them. That's what we'll look at next week though. But I do feel comfortable giving you some advice about some specific things that are going on in this format that you should keep in mind if you want to make sure you do well in it. So first, let's start talking about spacecraft. This was probably one of the biggest things going into the set where people had really differing opinions. A lot of people thought that they just wouldn't be good because you don't have time to station them. In my set review, especially if they had Injures triggers, I thought they had a chance to be quite good, especially when those Injures triggers augmented your board in some way, because then that meant it was easier to station them. And I'd say overall, spacecraft are good, especially the ones that do something immediately, give you a card of value. They don't even necessarily have to add to the board. There are a lot of points in the game where if you draw that, you can still just immediately station it. They're really interesting, flexible cards like that, where you can play them early for whatever value they give you. And in that case, you may not station them for a while, but there are plenty of turns where they just get stationed immediately. And I'm sure we've all seen that at this point. I would say, though, you don't want too many spacecraft. It was sort of like that with vehicles in the past, right? You need creatures to get your spacecraft going, and if you have too many spacecraft, you're not going to have enough creatures. So, you know, I think most decks probably have 2 to 3 stations or spacecraft, and occasionally you can support more depending on what you have going on in your deck. But don't go too hard on them, especially the ones that don't add to the board, because they do become a liability when you're playing a bunch of them, and you're also not good at stationing them. Overall, I'd say spacecraft are good, and that's really cool because they are a new thing. Even though they're kind of like a spin on vehicles, they're different enough because of the whole station thing that I think they're pretty interesting, and I think they did a good job costing them and making their station what they are. Let's move now to another prominent mechanic in the set, landers. Overall, they make fixing a lot easier, and I think that's pretty sweet. If you're in a deck, especially like a green one, and you get like 3 of the Wayfarer, which I don't know how much longer that's going to happen, but so far I've seen them really late in drafts all the time, which shocks me because I think it's better than most uncommons and even rares in the format. The 3-mana 3/3 that makes a lander, just because it generates a nice 2-for-1. You can do all kinds of value things with landers, so they're very good. And it's nice not having to spend as many picks on lands, like when you're trying to splash a 3rd color. Like, I had a deck that had 7 wins that just had a bunch of different ways to make landers, and I splashed red because I was low on removal outside of it. And I just ran 1 mountain and easily got my red mana all the time because I had 3 Wayfarers and the 1 mana sorcery that makes a lander. Like, when your regular cards that already do a bunch of stuff in the set also are sources of fixing, that ends up being pretty sweet, and you do generally end up with a more powerful deck because those are cards you're going to play anyway, and they end up fixing your mana in a big way. Like, in most sets, a mana base like that one, and I actually think I have a screenshot of this, so hopefully it's on the screen. In most sets, running that mana base with no duels or anything would be terrible. Like, if I'm splashing 3 red cards like I was in this deck. But this isn't most formats, and that's kind of my point. You can get away with this kind of deck thanks to all the landers, as long as you're careful. Like, you know, green was mostly the color where I had landers, and I needed to make sure I had enough green to play the things that gave me landers, which would fix my mana. But I think that's one really sweet thing they allow for. And just like Spacecraft, right now, I feel like I was maybe even a little low on landers just because there are even more things you can do with them than I expected. There are a lot of ways to sack them for value or get value out of just controlling an artifact that they're quite good too. Overall, you know, I don't have a point I want to address here about Warp. Mostly because I think everybody knows that's good and new. It was good going into the set review. You know, it looks like powerful mechanics we've seen before. That's true of landers too, to be fair. Like, every artifact token has been good. But Warp was even more obviously good because it looked a lot like Adventure, for example, or Suspend to a certain extent, or the Thunder Junction mechanic that let you pay a certain amount for a card and then you could cast it free later. Like, it looks like all these mechanics that all fared pretty well in Limited. And it has. I mean, you know, the cards with it are really good. Most of them, you would be more right than wrong if you just assumed every card with Warp in this set was good. And that's not quite true, but there are a lot of really good ones. And so, you know, I'm not talking about that mechanic in this video besides saying, yeah, it is really good. Because I don't think that advice is nearly as useful as, you know, with Spacecraft and landers. I'm talking about different things you can do or should do with deck building as a result of what the format looks like, and that's not what I'm doing with Warp. I'm just saying it's good.
Hey, just use Zen Market.
Hi, we're Tazil.ae, the UAE's fastest growing domain specialist.
And on a related note to landers, the real big expensive creatures at Uncommon are better than I expected. That's one area where I feel reasonably confident saying I was wrong already, because both Glacier Godmaw and Mouth of the Storm are both really good. You know, most sets, 6 mana is kind of the stopping point for your typical limited deck. Like, you can't really consistently look at, especially lower rarity 7-drops that don't just win the game, and think, I could play this and it'll be really good. Like, I didn't think either of these cards were bad. I gave the Godmaw a C+ in the set review, and the Mouth a C. But it's even easier to get to them than I thought, and there were people, I'll note, that told me, especially after the pre-release, that Glacier Godmaw was amazing. And I think they were right, because I've played with and against it enough now, especially the Godmaw, to feel that way. My concern about it going into the set was that it would be really hard to hit your land drop that you also needed to trigger this when it came down, because you really need to do that with this for it to really feel powerful, because then it can enter the fray. You know, it feels sort of like Craterhoof Behemoth, but it's easier to do thanks to landers, which again overlap into all these different things: landfall, artifacts, sacrifice, and so it ends up being pretty easy to trigger it once the turn you play it. Like the end of your opponent's turn, you crack a lander, get a land, and then you play it land on your turn. Well, you play the Godma, then play a land, and the game's pretty much over. Like that ends up actually working out a reasonable chunk of the time. And so both the Godma and Mouth of the Storm, to a lesser extent, have been pretty good. You know, the Mouth gives you a huge flyer that can end the game in a few turns and also nerfs your opponent's stuff for a whole turn cycle. It's not quite as immediate of a like, wow, I just lost the game effect as the Godma can be, but it kind of has the same effect, just a little more slowly. So let's talk broadly now about the colors. Overall, it seems like green is really good, and the two decks I've liked the most are blue-green and green-white, and that's partly because green's commons are so good, partly because of that 3-mana 3/3 that makes a lander, which is probably the best common in the set. But green has other great commons too. You know, even if it did get nerfed by an erratum, Diplomatic Relations is still a really good card. Germinating Worm has been pretty good overall. You know, I was a little low on that one in the set review because it just seemed weaker than most of the like big creature that gains you life that green decks often need to stabilize. But because it's cheaper, it kind of makes up for that, and you can even warp it earlier, which, you know, gives you some serious value. One green card in particular that has surprised me early and been way more useful than I expected is Gene Pollinator. Didn't hate it in the set review, but I did think it would be way too hard to consistently produce mana of any color with it. Like, you know, once you're tapping your lands alongside it, it's not really doing anything. But it turns out that it's actually a pretty good way to fix your mana. Like, it's another thing that can make your mana really great in this format without needing any fixing lands. And this is another area where landers are really useful. Warp creatures are really useful. Like, there are just so many different ways. They designed a lot of cards like this in this set, that this card ends up having something to tap that doesn't really hurt you all that often. And sometimes it's worth tapping something to get that extra mana or fix your mana. And then later in the game, you can just like sacrifice Gene Pollinator for value once you don't need the mana anymore. And there are lots of ways to do that, like the 4-mana 3/4 artifact creature that sacks an artifact, puts a counter somewhere, and draws you a card. Like, that feels pretty great later in the game. So yeah, I mean, green is pretty deep at common. It does have one that stands like head and shoulders above the rest, and it doesn't have any others that I think are like incredible other than the Wayfarer. But the Wayfarer is so good, and then there's this super deep roster of like C+ level commons that ends up making it a really good color in the format overall. It's also really good because you have probably the most access to landers in most green decks, and you can just end up playing powerful cards and splashing them, which is a relatively easy thing to do in the format. Red, meanwhile, has not impressed me that much. You know, I thought it was going to be a pretty deep color for commons overall. I especially liked Kov Landseeker and Zookeeper Mechan, and they're both pretty good. But both of them are not as good as the cards that I just mentioned in green overall. One card in red that is worth mentioning that is better because of landers too, by the way, is Nebula Dragon. I don't think it's good as the other two, but I thought it was going to be terrible. But it's another big, expensive creature that landers make far more viable. You know, comes down, lightning bolts something, and that's pretty sweet. So, you know, red isn't a color I love right now, and it mostly comes down to being super shallow at common when it comes to, you know, really good commons. It doesn't really have one right now that I would say stands out the way Night Luminary does and white. You know, these other colors all have one common that's just amazing, and red kind of doesn't, and that's kind of a problem overall. It's not unplayable. You know, it's way too early in the format to be like, the format is solved, just don't play red. I rarely say that anyway, but there are occasionally formats where you kind of need to avoid a color. And right now, I mean, I don't think it's that bad. It's just not, the payoffs for being in red just aren't that amazing. So overall, you know, as a splash color where you play a little bit of removal or whatever, that's one thing. But beyond that, it hasn't been that impressive of a color. I don't think in general the like your creatures are tapped, get some value mechanic has panned out in a big way. I was a little skeptical about it in the set review because, you know, I didn't like especially the red-white signpost that much.
This is Pod 5, the first fully immersive sleep system. Intelligent, adaptive, effortless. It doesn't replace your bed, it transforms it. Pod 5 listens and responds to your needs in real time, adjusting temperature, elevation, and sound while you sleep. Built to give you all-night comfort with an adaptive sleep surface that fits onto any mattress to personalize temperature, so you and your partner sleep just the way you like. Pod 5 features a new hydro-powered blanket that wraps you in full-body immersive temperature, giving you double the cooling and heating coverage. No more overheating, cold wake-ups, or blanket wars. Just deep, uninterrupted sleep. Plus, a base that lifts to automatically ease snoring, shifts to zero gravity for full body restoration, and now features integrated surround sound to help you fall asleep and stay asleep longer. Select how you would like to unwind, with white noise, nature sounds, or exclusive content from Dr. Andrew Huberman. And when morning comes, no jarring alarms, just warmth, a soft vibration, and gentle sounds, waking you when you're ready the way nature intended it to be. 3 elements, infinite personalizations, giving you exceptional sleep without exception. Contactless sensors in the pod track your heart rate, breathing, sleep stages, and more. And it uses artificial intelligence to go beyond just tracking. It learns from your data and optimizes your environment in real time to keep you in deep sleep for longer. The new health check is a breakthrough in passive preventative health. Without any wearables, the pod quietly monitors cardiovascular and respiratory health during sleep. Using clinical-grade precision, it leverages the hours that you spend on your bed to conduct a review of your health every night. Designed for anyone who won't settle for just okay sleep. This is Pod 5, the only way you should sleep.
Hey traders, welcome back to the TradingView channel. In this video, we're going to be introducing you to our all-new TradingView Smart AI Indicator, developed in collaboration with OpenAI. Now, this system offers AI-powered insights that may help users better understand market conditions and develop their own strategies. It analyzes multiple factors such as smart money flows, whale wallet activity, global macro trends, live market sentiment, and comprehensive technical analysis. So whether you're a crypto trader or an investor, this AI indicator will help you better understand the probability of any asset reaching key levels and properly assess when profit outweighs risk. Now, with this tool, you'll be able to conduct professional-grade research independently. Now, watch the video until the end, and we're going to show you which AI tools professional traders rely on in 2025 to better understand future market movements. So with that, let's get started. As you may know, 5 months ago, we officially partnered with OpenAI, the creators of the widely known ChatGPT technology, and together we've developed the Smart Trading AI Indicator and integrated it into the TradingView platform. And for the next 30 days, we're opening early access exclusively for our YouTube subscribers. Now, this indicator helps you assess risk versus reward, track which coins large investors have been accumulating in recent months, and identify assets that may be better to avoid in order to not become exit liquidity. It was trained on historical trades, behavioral patterns of professional and institutional traders, on-chain activity, and sentiment data, enabling it to recognize the higher probability patterns that smart money tends to follow. Over 5 months of testing, the indicator has demonstrated a level of accuracy that we're confident in, consistent across a variety of market conditions. And in this video, we'll show you how to set up the indicator and walk you through several examples of how to use it effectively to anticipate asset movements. But for now, let's begin by setting up the indicator. Step 1, launch the TradingView app on your computer. Now, if TradingView is not installed, you can go and download it by clicking on the More button in the top menu on the official website and selecting Desktop App. Step 2, after the installation, you'll need to enter developer mode using the command line on your computer. Don't worry, it is quite simple. To do this, press Win+R, type CMD, and press Enter. Alternatively, you can go and search for a command prompt in the Start menu. Then go to the video description down below, click the link to our GitHub repository, copy the command we've provided there, and paste it into the command line, and hit Enter. Now, for your convenience, we've also included a step-by-step setup guide in the description of this video as well. Now, the update process will start immediately and may just take a few minutes. After the update, you'll see a message in the command prompt indicating that the update was successful. Step 3, restart the TradingView app to apply the changes. Great, and as you can see, the interface, yes, has slightly changed. You see, we've entered developer mode, which gives us access to experimental indicators that aren't normally available to regular users. And now, we're ready to start doing some research using these tools. And now, I'll show you how to do it using a few coins as examples. First, go ahead and open the SUI chart using a 3-month range as an example. As you can see, the AI has highlighted zones on the chart that indicate potential price increases, each with its own probability estimate. But let's take a closer look at the chart. Now, the green zone, that represents the most likely scenario, with approximately 90% probability according to the indicator. The yellow zone suggests an alternative scenario with a lower confidence level, around 55% probability, indicating that SUI could potentially form a strong new high. The orange zone reflects the least likely outcome, with only about a 10% chance that the price will move into that area. Now, according to the indicator's analysis, SUI is currently in an accumulation phase and may reach a new all-time high in the near future. Next, let's open the Sol chart, also using a 3-month range. And here we're seeing a different picture. Solana is currently moving within a sideways channel. And according to the indicator, the green zone suggests a continuation of this range-bound movement with approximately 70% probability. The yellow zone indicates about a 40% chance of consolidating near the previous all-time high. Meanwhile, the orange zone reflects only a 15% probability of breaking out into a new high. But we can also see that the token is currently in a distribution phase, meaning that whales are maintaining the price. It might just be wise to skip this asset for now to avoid becoming exit liquidity. So, as you can see from these examples, you can now conduct professional research using this tool, weigh the risks and the potential returns, and make informed decisions. You know, as Warren Buffett wisely said, risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. So feel free to do your own research using our AI indicator. And if you have any questions or comments, please let us know. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Because it was understated and asked for something significant. I mean, you can trigger these things, like you can for sure, but the number of situations where you're in a spot where it's like the fail case are just massive, and you end up with really understated creatures in most of those cases. So, like, you know, if I was gonna say there's one deck that I don't advise drafting unless it's really open, it would be red-white. Part of the problem too is like that deck's supposed to be really into spacecraft, but like you can't run that many, like I said at the beginning of this video. So, you know, it ends up not going super well. You know, I've had red-white decks do fine. You can do it. The color pair needs to be open though. And most of the time you're not really leaning into that tap synergy because it feels like almost all of those cards have underperformed, which even more so than I thought they would, I think, overall. Meanwhile, I'd say like broadly the lander decks, you know, that's blue-green and red-green, and the artifact decks like blue-black have been pretty good overall. All right, so that is sort of an early overview about how I feel about this format. You know, basically most of the things are a little better than I expected them to be, except for red-white, which I think is worse than I expected, even though I didn't have high hopes for it. And I think that the landers are even a little better than I thought they'd be. Spacecraft, even a little better than I thought they would be. So overall, I think it's a pretty sweet format. There's lots of cool little things you can do with, you know, various artifact value things you have going on, or land value things. It feels like a reasonably grindy set thanks to the landers and everything too. So I'm having fun with the new format overall. Even though Final Fantasy, I think, was a really good one, I think this one is basically on the same level right now. We'll see if it still feels the same like 50 drafts in like Final Fantasy did. So, all right, that'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Next week, I'll be back to talk about what I got wrong in really specific terms about cards, because we'll have enough data at that point for me to, you know, really know where I was wrong in my set review about individual cards. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it so that others can enjoy it too. And if you want to see more content about this format, including draft videos, my set review, other episodes of Need to Notes, you should see a playlist on your screen shortly. Thanks for watching.